tarot cards are often the first step and basis for a seeker of metaphysical knowledge, like you, to discover your forever path. That could be astrology, numerology, healing arts, or any other spiritual interest you discover along the way. Elaine Ireland is not only a teacher of tarot, she is a mentor who supports you and will be there for you. Visit www.ElaineIrelandTarotMaster.com now and discover how Elaine's mentoring, tarot card and psychic readings, tarot card classes, and more help you to grow into the true being you are meant to be. Welcome to Conversations with the Ancients, where you're about to discover a whole different world than the one that, up until now, you've believed you're familiar with. World-Renowned Metaphysicist, practicing psychic and tarot teacher Elaine Ireland invites you on a journey where you'll hear voices from the past, interviews with some of the greatest metaphysicians you've never heard of, because in their time, they needed to move with stealth. You'll also meet today's spirit mediums, healers, and others who will show you a side of the paranormal you've never seen before. Be sure you visit our website at conversationswiththeancients.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, hear the words of metaphysicians who blazed the trail. You're not in jail, thanks to them.
This is a catch-up, folks, that have joined us. When Tracy St. Croi and I Elaine, did her first conversation, we didn't get to these questions as she requested, as she wanted them asked. We got so busy with other things that we just didn't get to the questions. So that's what we're doing. So this may be an add-on to her first conversation, or it may be something totally different. The first one is, hi, how are you today?
I'm good. It's Friday. It's, it's almost spooky season. I know that.
When do you start spooky season?
It's all year round for me. But,
oh.
but I got
of course it is.
About.
Tell them why it's your spooky season.
Well, it's why it is now or why it is always?
Why is it always? It's actually the answer to number 7. Well, sort of. Number 7 is, who would you love to work with on your show next and investigate a spooky location?
Well, we haven't talked about my show, so that's going to be weird if I answer why is it spooky season with that? They don't know about my show first.
Okay, number 3 says, my podcast and TV show on Binge, Binge, Network TV, Haunted Road Trip Show. It's introduced. Tell us about the show.
Well, I am very proud of it. It's one of those very labor of love, long time coming. That's all I have to say. So if you love, spooky places, paranormal hauntings, Central Texas, but maybe you are a little disenchanted by all of too much equipment, too much technology, and not enough of the fun mediums and the psychics that can bring the really good, juicy information into, this show is going to be for you. Because we do paranormal investigations from the frame of looking at it first through a psychic and medium's eyes, and then following up with a little bit of technology and a whole lot of research and confirmation on it. And it gives folks a whole different realm of paranormal investigating, and plus it gets to let them see how a medium really does work, because what I've been disenchanted about in the past is watching other shows and then only seeing a psychic medium on there for, like 2.5 seconds, and that's it. And it's like, wait a minute. They could have brought through a whole bunch of other information.
And that's what you're doing.
Yes.
I've had a taste of what you're doing, and I love it. It is different. And that's what's important. It is different. Okay, can you see everything on my screen, and do you see that weird looking pop-up?
I don't see anything.
Good, because it's recorded, but I've got this AOL thing that just popped up, and I can't get rid of it. I've hit different parts of this.
My rule of thumb is when I'm recording, keep recording. Just keep recording. Just don't like it ain't even there.
Well, Adam may have to use an eraser to make it go away. That it's weird. It just popped up. I wasn't even touching the screen.
That's what Anyway.
I know. Probably. Mercury's in retrograde. Blame it on Mercury in retrograde. The Binge Network, when do you think you'll be launching this, or have you already launched?
Well, we're in the final stages of editing the shows. So as soon as the editing gets done, then we'll have more of a clearer date. But I'm really pushing for before Halloween this season. Is really my wish and my want.
How many shows will you have available?
We're going to see. We're going to try to squeeze out 6 of them.
Good. So people will have... Okay, is your show one of those shows where it's best to watch it from the beginning, or can you just plug into any one of those shows and have fun?
You can plug into any one of those shows and have fun. It's not like plot line that you have to follow per episode or you'll be lost.
Okay.
It's not like...
I'm looking forward to them.
Huh?
I'm looking forward to them. I haven't had privy to any of them other than occasional, this is where we're going or this is what we're doing, but I haven't seen a finished one. So I'm looking forward. I will be one that starts at the beginning and goes all the way.
Yay.
To the most current. Yeah, that'll be fun.
It's been a labor of love and a long time coming, and I'm just excited to see the finish line.
Well, I know that she's put a tremendous amount of work and time and research and energy into these shows. I've watched her do it. Behind the scenes, I watched her do it. So it's going to be fun for me to see it through the eyes of the public, just like everybody else. It'll be fun. Yeah, it'll be fun to do that. Yeah. Okay, now that we've done that, let's go back to number 7. Who would you love to work with on your show next and investigate a spooky location?
Oh my God. Well, besides you, of course. I mean, that would be really super fun. Besides you, I would, and besides all of my like super cool medium friends that I already know, because I don't want to get, I don't want to get texts about why have you been to bed. I would love to go somewhere. I would love Chip Coffee. I would love to be able to work with him. He's kind of he's been around for quite some time with a really, really good, solid foundation of paranormal investigating. He would be fun to go into paranormal investigations with. I really would love to, I would actually love to bring some of my medium friends from, that I know from TikTok on some of my shows. Yes. And because that's another premises of this show is also to highlight people who, not everybody has a whole network behind them. Not everybody, there's a whole lot of work that goes into that. And I would love to highlight some of the mediums that I'm connected with on TikTok. But if I had my reach for the star and grab it and pull it down, I would definitely love the opportunity. Chip, that would be fun.
He has a great reputation.
Yeah, he does. And he's a good guy. He's got solid ethics and he just seems fun.
what I like, what you just said, I really like, because it's the same premise as this show, showcasing people that the public maybe hasn't met yet, doesn't know they even exist. And so many of the people in the paranormal research part, like what you call your spooky shows, that's kind of scary for some people. So you're providing a great way for the public to view what other people do and can be validated about what they do, plus introduce them to locations that could be fun. Like we just had lunch last Sunday at a very old home that was known as Green Pastures, and now other people have a own it now and have for a while, and they've added the word Maddie's at Green Pastures, so people know they can still go there. But that building alone is, I'm so hoping you can get permission to spend after hours time.
I don't have any doubt that they'll let us in there. But okay, let's go back, because we need to tell the public, like, FYI, Elaine worked there back in the day.
Oh.
So let's just put that out there.
And it was fun. When it was still the old house, and none of the walls had been changed.
Yeah. And we went there for her 80th birthday on Sunday. And they make a mean key lime pie, but you gotta ask oh my God. Anyway, but as soon as we walked in the door, and, Elaine just starts charming everybody like she normally does. And pretty soon, me and her are getting a private tour of the home. Peacocks and all, everybody. Peacocks and all.
That's part of the grounds are covered with peacocks. And she said now they have what? Two white ones, solid white ones. They're just beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, it's a fun place to be. The food is above extraordinary, and the service is wonderful, and the people are just really cool. Just really, really nice people. So if you're in this area, yes, it is by reservation only, but and they close early on Sunday. But it's well worth the time and just sitting in the environment alone in that particular place. Just sitting there in the
yeah. That's what I said. So, I would love to sit in there with nobody in there, noise, just quiet.
Lights low, fireplace is on, maybe.
Yeah, quiet. Maybe just me and a couple camera guys.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Love that. But yeah, Maddie's at Green Pastures. If anybody's in the Austin area, or if you want to impress somebody, there you go.
There you go. Have you talked to Buffalo Billiards down on 6th Street?
I don't think I've contacted them, but I know they're on my on my list, I shall say.
I did a show with another lady many, many years ago that I don't think she ever released. I had a different style about how I was doing things then, and I don't think she wanted as much teaching. I didn't think she liked my delivery. So I don't think it ever got released. But it's a cool place. If you can get in there, it's a cool place. If they haven't rearranged, torn out attics, if it is still structured the way it was when I was there so many years ago, it would be a cool place for you to go. There are like 4 generations spread out around from before that building was even built on the ground. That's the spirits that I picked up early on. So that would be a cool place. You'd have a multitude of things, characters to bring in. Yeah, it was cool. It's a cool area.
I mean,
okay.
Down there on 6th Street, there was a lot of shootouts and things like that,
No, downtown Austin was a shoot 'em up at one time.
Yeah.
Who else would you want to do what?
It was cowboy country.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they moved they moved the capital to Austin. It was someplace else. And there was a lot of argument about that at the time, let's just say. People chasing people down. You could probably do a show all up and down Congress and pick up all kinds of stuff.
There are a few places on Congress, a few hotels in specific that I know we've had conversations about that I'm like, I would love to get into there.
Love to do the Capitol. even if we could just get permission to record in the rotunda and all the doors were locked, that we would, to do that, we'd have to know somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that had the keys.
It would take a lot, but it's not impossible.
No. Who else would you like to work with?
I really liked, it's not about a who, right? It's not about all of these like, oh, I want to work with a Long Island medium or this person or that person. I mean, they're great. Don't get me wrong. It's more like I want to work with people that have, similar ethics and vibes as me, maybe a little bit of a different take on investigations. Not exactly the same type of personality of me, but maybe adjacent to me, somebody you can play off of and have fun, whether that's, male, female, him, them, shems, flems. I don't care as long as they're like really good quality, psychic mediums that want to honor the work and showcase it off to the public in a way that allows the public to decrease their fear and increase their kind of awareness of non-ordinary reality that's all around us.
And I like the fact that you really go out of your way to validate the information that you get. I mean, we could sit up there and say anything, but if we can say and validate, that's powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of mediums here that, I mean, between me and you, that I would love to just showcase. And we'll just, we'll see what spirit has coming down the line. It's like, I don't know. You know how it is. We only get the pinhole view, get the whole view.
Pinhole view. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to back up. Your very first question was, do you believe it was part of your destiny to become a psychic medium? Now, first of all, please explain what psychic/medium means to you, because for many, many years, I believe those to be the same but very different. What does it mean to you?
I too come from the school of same but very, very different. To use your psychic abilities, whatever that, we all have them. We got them all. That is more about what I like to call the work in our physical 3D world. A lot of it, it's gonna be career and money and relationships and life path and partners and moves and things that are in the material world, right? And mediumship is a whole nother ability. For me, mediumship is about communicating with deceased loved ones or deceased souls on the other side. That is what mediumship is to me. So I believe that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. They're just
True.
not.
I agree.
Think it takes a way different set of development skills to develop mediumship than it does psychicism. For sure.
See, for years, I thought of mediums very much like the Jane Roberts, that Seth came through her and physically took over. And that was a part of our world that was...
That's a part of mediumship. That's that could go under more of like trance mediumship or, that where they allow a soul to fully blend with you to bring through that's trance and physical mediumship.
And that can be scary.
Very scary. And it takes years and years and years and decades to develop that.
With Jane Roberts, Seth just kind of walked in almost without her agreement. He just kind of took over, which wasn't really cool. And many of us believe he shortened her life by what he did to her body, trying to prove a point to the public. Anyway, so you don't do the trance medium work, but the voices come through you.
Yeah, publicly, I will not do trance. That's not my mediumship style, at all. Now, do I know how to do trance? Yes. Do I use it as a primer or developing tool in my own personal kind of growth? Yeah. But for the public, no. That's a whole nother level that I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna step into that. No.
Not only that, but it can be scary for the public to view.
It is. I will tell you what, one of the times when I was over at Arthur Finlay, taking trance mediumship classes actually, and we had a night where the tutors were doing a trance mediumship demonstration, and I will never forget it at all. I mean, they had the trance boxes out there. I mean, they were in the boxes. You had the red light. I mean, there was like 100 of us mediums in one room. The energy was so palpable that there was electricity flying across. Like, you could see it flying across the top of the ceiling. And it was like multiple ones of us in there were seeing it at the same time. I wish one of us would have gotten it on film because it was just amazing. And it wasn't something that, it wasn't some kind of parlor trick. I think it was because you put 100 mediums in a room that have been working mediumship for past 5 days, and then you got 2 trance mediumships, mediums in there have been doing that for decades, and you're going to get a whole lot of electric energy. And I've seen it, and it is, for somebody who wouldn't understand what is going on, yeah, that would be scary. That would be like, what? But
do they allow filming? Does Arthur Finlay allow filming?
No. Well, okay, this is what I'm going to say. As of the last time that I was there or checked, they did not encourage filming inside of the school. Now, the policies and procedures could have very well have changed, but I don't know.
We'll have to go back and see. It's on my bucket list.
It's
classes at Arthur Finlay.
It is definitely, I was very honored to be able to have the resources, the time, and the privilege to be able to study over there for long periods of time.
You got what, 2 or 3 times?
Yeah. And then multiple times through their sister school, the Journey Within with John Holland and Janet Havoc and Tony Stockwell, and multiple trips all over the freaking place.
See, public, we don't just go read books. We go do things.
Yeah.
We learn from good mentors at our own expense quite often, our own time, we pay for everything along the way, and we practice. And the word practice to me, I say we're practicing psychics because Tracy said it a while ago. We all can do it. It's just, some people call it instinct. Mothers and dads have eyes in the back of their head. Cops have a gut feeling. So it's all the same thing. It's just how you use it. But in our case, we make a point of using it with intent to help the public. So yeah, we're practicing psychics, but whatever you have in your toolbox as individuals, use it. If you have eyes in the back of your head, use it to protect your kids, your family, your loved one, a stranger. Use it. Pay attention to your instincts. If something says, don't worry if you're leaving 10 minutes late today, it's all good. It's probably because you avoided that wreck. So if it was your destiny to be in that wreck, you would have been there. But why get caught up in the traffic?
Well, exactly. And going back to the question about, do I feel like it was my destiny to do this work? I feel that I would have had a very hard, short life had I chosen not to.
It's a good answer.
And I wanted to bring that about, I do believe some things kind of you're going to get voluntold. Other things maybe you have choices in. And realistically looking at things, yeah, I could have been like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm going to take another path. But it would have been not a wise choice. It would have been painful and rough, emotionally and physically.
I agree with you in your case. And yet, I believe there are some times when we just cannot get, we can't.
Yeah,
We can't.
that's what I think was happening to me. I mean, literally, like, spirit was closing all the windows and there was only one door to walk through. It's only one.
That was it.
Yeah, this was it. It was like, no, this is it, girl.
You do this or else.
Easy. You know what I mean? On some levels, it's like, okay, I'll go through the door. But on other levels, it's like, holy shit. Like, what am I going to tell everybody, you know? And that's a whole nother. It's a whole nother.
Well, that's number two. Basically, you're heading towards number two. In some traditional societies, metaphysicians and psychic work are frowned upon. How have you dealt with the naysayers? And what do you love about being a psychic medium? So, see, you were edging into that question anyway.
I do. That's why I give my people questions like that, and it kind of it one rolls into another, into another, into another. In case they have a hard time, you know, topics to talk about with. I don't know. Anyway, that was just how I was trained. Obviously at first I was, I only told people that I knew I could trust with that type of information. Like, hey, I'm investigating this and, you know, I want to see what's going on. And I kept, you know, a lot of things to myself, really kind of close to my heart. But as I started developing and getting into it more, I just really didn't care. I think I had it really, really lucky that in my mind, in my heart, I knew this was a part of my purposes. And I don't really care what other people had to think. Like, I was like, whatever. And I, you know, they, you know, tell me, oh, that's the devil's work. You know, I don't care. Yeah, you can go ahead and look at it that way. I don't care. Like, you're not paying my bills. You're not in my body. You're not, you know, you're not living my life. And, you know, it is the point of, like, I tell a lot of people, my job is not to, I'm not here to convert people. I'm not here to make believers out of people. I'm not here to, you know, change your point of the universe. That's not my duty. My duty to spirit is to communicate an accurate message or whatever needs to be brought through from spirit. That's it.
And validate it.
And yeah, be able to validate it and help people. You know, if you want to go be converted, go, you know, there are plenty of other people out there that will take advantage of that for you. But my duty is to spirit, not to naysayers. And, you know, they're all going to be there. But, you know, I just kind of politely point out, you know, there's been a lot of psychic mediums throughout all religion and all religions. You can point to, well, no, that guy was psychic. You kidding me? No, she was a seer. No, that's a healer.
Different.
Yeah.
Different. Yeah. And what do you love about being a psychic / medium?
It gives me comfort. So it's
It's
like
an interesting word.
Yeah, it gives me comfort because it's a part of my faith. So
A part of your what? I lost that word.
Faith.
Faith. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, others have faith in whatever power is greater than themselves. And I have faith in a power greater than myself, in the way that it, you know, works through me. The way that spirit works through me is a lot of times using my different clairvoyance and dreams and symbols and signs and synchronicities. And I believe the whole entire universe is an oracle. So I take a lot of comfort in that, in knowing that, like, I'm never alone. There's always a way for spirit to communicate with me. And I'm always entertained. Like, even if I have to get stuck in some, like, situation I don't want to be in, I always got spirit next to me. I always got something else I can tune into.
Did you always feel that way on some level, or did you truly at one point feel alone?
Oh no, it took me a long time. I felt alone for a lot of my life. Al- Alone in a lot of aspects. It's really interesting because looking back, it's like I felt unheard or ununderstood would be the
Okay.
better explanation of things. I always had a faith that there was something helping me, but I didn't know what. But I always felt other. I guess just like didn't belong, or was trying to fit in and just couldn't, and all that kind of stuff.
And fit in. I hear that a lot from psychics over the years. They felt alone until they acknowledged. Sometimes it was a matter of just acknowledging. Sometimes it was felt like something just hit me upside the head, and all of a sudden I felt it different. Well, I'm not an astrologer, or a numerologist, but I can't help but wonder if they came out of something or got into something astrologically. There's signs, which we know can happen,
Yeah.
or numerologically. They got to a 12-year instead of a 10-year, and boom, everything happened. And whatever. Like I said, I'm not an astrologer or a numerologist, but I really believe sometimes that's it. They get to a certain point in their life and they take a different path.
They do. And I think that comes down to, I don't know, it's different for everybody. But, for me, it was getting sober and, finding that community and finding, that like other people, I wasn't alone in my, my addiction in the way that I thought and behaved. And, I wasn't as unique as I once had thought I was, terminally unique, as us in the AA will say. But then, I found the metaphysical community and also felt another deep sense of belonging in that people, that we have our own lingo, and we have our own, dates and our rituals and our sayings, and being able to comfort each other. And, when you start to make friends, call them, and they understand you're not going to believe what I saw in the parking lot, but I'm going to tell you because that they won't believe you.
Being accepted. What you're talking about right now is really being validated in a different way, but being accepted for what you saw in the parking lot.
Yeah.
They're not going to look at you and say you're crazy. Because we've been there. We've been to that parking lot, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Like
hard.
whatever it is, or yeah, it's finding that it's finding your people and your community in different ways. And then, everything just kind of came together when I started to realize that I have people that, like me, believe me, love me, and found a community and a home that I didn't have in the past. And that was important.
I'm going to get a little personal, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, because I'm going to ask you about the addiction world. Did you find when you entered AA, which was your choice, nobody was making you do it, and you entered AA and you went into your sobriety, did you notice the people around you having a different kind of intuition, a different kind of sensitivity, which was really a family within itself? I know for some people that enter AA, some not so much, but did you find it as being almost a door into the metaphysical world that you could?
Yeah.
Because as an addictive personality at that time, did you feel different, or were you using the addiction to try to be accepted by what you thought was something safe for you? So when you went to AA with full realization you had to change if you were going to have a life you wanted to have, did that open the door to a sensitivity that was similar to what your AA folks might have had? In sensitivity, I'm not talking about anything else, but sensitivity, intuition.
I do believe. I mean, before I got sober, yeah, I was drowning my emotions. I did not want to feel. That was part of why I drank. Um, is to numb the pain and numb the trauma and the memories and all the other shitty emotions that were going on with things. And when I got into AA, um, I did realize that there were a lot of very sensitive people in there. And as I started into my sobriety and then started into developing my own, intuitive skills, I would see those skills in other people. They were expressing in different ways. I had a hunch, or this happened, or I had a dream, or I sensed this. You hear it all the time in mediums. In meetings. Um, and I could see that, but I'm not going to exactly tell them about it. They can discover that on their own. But I have noticed that a lot of people in recovery are very sensitive to emotions in rooms, to people. We had to be. A lot of us came out of trauma, so we had to grow up and be, hyper aware of every breath people took around us, because we had to be able to manage energy quickly.
Had to learn a lot very quickly, didn't you? What did you have to unlearn as you went from that very defensive situation to a different kind of needing to be maybe defensive? Because you said something earlier about you didn't tell everybody everything that you were doing with your psychic work. So it seems like you left one kind of life, which was very defensive, into another kind of one until you were convinced. I would think a lot like what you were leaving. When you walked into the doors of AA, you had to learn to trust their system and those people. And then you left that, or walked aside with it, and became part of a metaphysical community. Were the feelings different or similar to you in terms of safety and acceptance?
They were very similar. I mean, they have a lot of similarities, the metaphysical community and AA. You're going to find all of the, you know, you're going to find all of our freak flags a flying one way or another. You're going to find all kinds of people in AA and all kinds of people in the metaphysical world. And you'll find a lot of acceptance. It's AA is come as you are. Like, okay, you had a bad day, come. You had a good day, come. You had an all right day, you're welcome. Welcome here. And same kind of in the metaphysical community. Like, all people are welcome. Investigate.
We try to be accepting if people will let us accept them. Say that again. I stepped on your word.
Yeah, and and that's what I tell a lot of people during readings or classes or things like that. I'm only going to take you as far as you'll allow me.
Yep.
I will not drag you along this path.
You can't. I have yet to see anybody that was going to be pulled, pushed.
I learned AA, like, come as you are, you can come, you cannot come, it's all your choice. And the same in the metaphysical community. Like, you are welcome, you can come here, you're kind to us, we'll be kind to you, but we're not going to force you.
Feel safe.
Yeah, and I mean, I've, felt, oh,
Welcomed and safe, I hope.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, welcomed and safe. Like there were definitely those were two things that I did not feel growing up that I felt in AA and metaphysical communities was welcomed and safe, and I did not feel that growing up.
Well, you're where you belong. Your number 4 was, what advice do you have to those who want to develop your abilities but still hesitate? Now, you're assuming they know they have ability, or they're
How
just
many phone calls do you
feeling
get from
weird.
people? Yeah. Now, you know, you get just as many phone calls and inquiries as I do about the I think I maybe am, or I've had these dreams, or this has always happened, or, my grandmother used to practice the old ways. And
Boy, that's a term that is huge. The old way.
yes, the old ways. And you, I tell them this, if they've taken that many steps to make an appointment, pick up the phone, and show up and turn up for this conversation, why don't you just start taking a class and investigate yourself? Because you're right there. I tell people a lot, like, you got nothing to lose and everything to gain. This is a very low risk choice for you. This is low
Yeah.
risk
It
and
can be a
high
little more
reward.
complicated than that, but yeah. Yeah. The biggest obstacle I found, and I'll interject and put this in there, is that if you're in a partnership and your partner
Mm.
is afraid, or your family, or the religion you grew up in, and you're surrounded by people that want to protect you because they don't understand this world, that can be really scary for the person who's trying to learn and be sane. Speaking of being sane, some of that, the definition of being crazy in most states, is if one person hears, sees, smells, whatever, all of the senses, other things that people around them do not, especially the seeing and hearing, they can be declared crazy.
Uh-oh.
Well, that's legal in Austin, Texas. That's a legal definition.
I'm
And it's
excited.
still on the books. Sarah went to find out if it was still on the books. It is. So I don't think so many people will push it these days, but it is an option for someone who wants to push it, especially if it's a wife or a husband or a child or something, and especially children. But that could be another reason why people hesitate to get into developing their skills, or what they think is something different about themselves. That's a biggie. But if it's just developing their abilities but still hesitating without any of that, what do you say to them? What advice do you have to them?
I really tell them, like, if you're already here 2 steps before the finish line, just take 2 more steps, for God's sake. Come on in, and let's not let this be a wonderment or a regret at the end of your life. So come on.
But I like that. They don't want to be sitting on their front porch saying, I wish I had. What if I had? Yeah, I agree with you. A whole
And I tell them all the time, like, I'll tell people a lot of times, if they are expressing things like, well, my family believes this and you'll go crazy, or this is the devil's work, or this or that, or, demons are gonna come and get you and kill you. And I'll tell me, how many people have you actually known that has happened to? I mean, known. And they'll go, none. Okay, let's start there.
Let me take you to a psychic fair and introduce you to 150 readers that have never been.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, do I look like I've been, through the ringer with something, with that? No.
No,
And I just tell them
it can be
that's,
scary, but
huh?
it can be scary, but at the same time, while it's scary, you have access to a lot of professional people to help you get one step further. And I say professional because in our community, we've got doctors, lawyers, we have therapists that are also doing metaphysical work.
Oh, yeah. We've got people
Yeah.
that are, you wouldn't suspect. And I tell a lot of people too, like, this is about if you're worried about what your friends, family, and others are going to think of you doing this, like, what? First off, why do you have to tell them? Like, tell me why you need to tell them. And then second off, you're learning this so that you can empower yourself because you're already there questioning beliefs and patterns and whatever else is going on, and you're wanting other information. So come and get it. Come and read. Come and study with us. Come and see that in the metaphysical world, there are all kinds of studies from, the Tao to Christianity to Buddhism to all of it is covered within spirituality about how it all is metaphysics. And just come and empower yourself. Put yourself in a place of empowerment versus disempowerment.
Good answer. Thank you. What are some funny
I'll take metaphysics for 2000. No.
Okay. What are some funny stories about growing up psychic or recent memory?
Funny stories. I love I can't tell that publicly. Darn it, that's a good too.
Okay, I won't push it.
I know. Let me think. Oh, hold on. I've got to think of something that I can share publicly that doesn't involve like a client or some kind of confidential situation that went on. The thing is I know I have some travel stories and I just can't think of anything. But I can tell you, when you ask spirit to show up and you ask your guides to show up, they darn well will.
I can contribute something.
Yeah, go ahead. And maybe it'll jog my memory. So go ahead.
There you go. I love morning glories.
Mm-hmm.
Always love morning glories. So this is really in two sets. The house that I lived in before was right across the street there was a street and then there was a railroad track. And the city had just put up a fence, a chain link fence. And one morning, actually right at sunrise, I was sitting out on my porch with the wild cats, kittens at the time, and thinking about my mother because she always loved sunrise and sunsets. And she loved morning glories. And I just kind of threw out there, gosh, I wish I had some morning glory seeds. Now, that morning, there was nothing on that chain link fence. Nothing. 2 days later, I went back out, and it's like 6 feet tall. I went out 2 days later, Saturday morning. 2 widths was covered with purple wild morning glories, at least 4 feet tall.
I love it.
I had to walk over and look, and I took pictures of it. And what's interesting is that the morning that I was sitting there, just as I was about to go in, I had heard that the Ringling Brothers Circus was coming into town. Well, they always, when they could, coming into a town, they would take like 4 of their locomotives, which were old fashioned. And that included like a Tiger and, just think 1980s or 1800s. And I had taken a picture of them, and they go slow. I had taken a picture of them. There are no morning glories in that picture, but 2 days later, I have proof of morning glories. Now, this year, within the last month, I told Mike, I should have planted morning glories. Within a week, They're growing and trying to take over my front porch. I have pictures. And they have wrapped themselves around a big tree in my front yard, down the trunk, which was something my mother did every 3 years. It seemed like her morning glory vines would last about 3 years. So about every 3 years, she would put out fresh seeds, and just on this one tree, and they would wrap around the tree. That's what they've done by my storage unit out there.
I love it.
You know, it happened. This is another thing to tell the people. Be careful what you wish for. Because black hornets got in one of mine, and I got popped a week apart.
Yeah.
3 times on one hand, and 3 times on my left arm. 1 week apart. So you have to be careful what you wish for. Those morning glories were a great place for the hornets to hide. And when I reached my hand in to move them away from that side of the porch, they got me. So, and double thing there. Be careful what you think about. Be careful what you wish for. You might get it. But that's to me, that's a spiritual story about morning glories. And I took pictures. They're all over out here today. Yesterday, I took some of here up. I live in the country, folks. Up by the mailboxes. Their morning glories are everywhere. They're growing up. Fence lines, post lines. They're everywhere. I've been out here going on 4 years. They've never done this before, ever. That's my answer to your question to yourself.
I must have had a story somewhere around there, but I think my brain's just a little overloaded from the week that I'm like, I've got a million of them, and I'll probably think of 5 of them when we get off the phone.
Well, send them to me.
Spirit is always, always, always delivering.
Always. If we let them. I'm serious about any further.
You know what? I do remember one story.
What?
One time when I was going over to England, it was the first, second time I was going over there. I can't remember. I had a layover in Dallas really quickly before we were headed to London. And I remember going, man, I really want an upgrade. I need an upgrade. And I remember trying to book one, and there wasn't any available. And I remember standing at the gate, and I remember this lady calling my name over the speaker to come up to the counter. And I came up to the counter, and I'm like, yes. And she's like, yeah, we're gonna bump you up business class. Is that okay? Sure is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you know what that taught me, though? That was a nice, kind lesson that Spirit taught me, that when you fly internationally or far, you pay for them upgrades, because you will feel 1,000,000% better getting to the location where you're at, flying, I don't know what it's all called on, first class or business economy versus others. So if you can afford it, do it.
Do it. Absolutely.
That's what I've learned, and that's what I've stuck by. Because I'm like,
has being a psychic medium taught you what has being a psychic medium taught you about yourself and the universe? That's a big question.
It's really shown me that we are more powerful than we are ever taught. That we have more personal autonomy than we will ever be taught about in traditional schools, or depending on what type of home environment you grow up in. You might grow up in a home that, totally encourages all kinds of that. But I've learned we have a lot more personal power. We have a lot of power to co-create our lives, because oftentimes it's not about, what happens to us. It's about, how do we show up when things happen? How do we react to those things that help us create something either new and better?
The universe. What have you taught about what have you learned about the universe in an unexpected way?
Well, plant medicine journeys have shown me a whole lot more about this universe than I ever could on my own. I can tell you that much, which has been a really wonderful heart-opening journey. That we are not alone in many, many, many capacities, and the universe is full of love. Just full of love. And if we could just give it to ourselves first, we would have a lot happier lives. We would have a lot more joyful and peaceful and happier lives. Love ourselves first, too, and love others.
Do you think that you had to go through, or what do you think about the hardships that you went through as a younger person, because you're full mature now? What do you think about those challenges that you had? And do you think they got you to, number one, your addiction, which led you to this? Do you think if you'd had an easier, younger years, you would still be here? That goes a little bit with your destiny question.
I do believe I would have ended up in metaphysics one way or another. I do believe that. One way or another, I know I would have that, I might have taken a Serendipitous type of route, but I would have ended up there. Yeah, it was rough, but, what I've learned is, my traumas turned into my treasures. Because they were no longer in the past, they were something that I allowed to hold me back and be victimized and hold me back with a lot of, shame, guilt, regret, some of it mine, some of it not. And it kept me from having a really, really joyful life. And you don't know what people's bottoms are. My bottom happened to include addiction. Other people's bottoms don't have to include addiction. They can include an emotional bottom that they're done. But I feel in my heart of hearts, one way or another, I was meant to be of service to the public. I know that. And this is just happened how it happened to express this way. For me, I think had a traditional route. I think had things been easier for me, I think I would have gone more of a traditional corporate, or maybe I would have gotten into psychology. I don't know. But somehow, some way, I think I would have ended up here. Because I don't think Spirit was going to let me out of whatever contract I made before I came here. I don't think they were going to let me off the hook that easily.
Even if you'd postponed it, I really believe you would have it would have, because in my opinion, we grow every day. We may not call it this, but we grow every day. And even if you had not gone the addiction route, you just had a rough childhood and kind of skipped that, went corporate, I think the doors would have opened anyway for you. Exactly when they did.
I think they did. I mean, looking at my childhood, looking at, the first house that I lived in, surrounded by graveyards and funeral homes. I mean.
Okay.
Yeah, I was bound to, having memories as a child of playing with ghost kids and ghost people.
Cool. Public, what she just said is really, really important. It's watching your kid play with an invisible animal or kid. The ghost, as she just expressed them, the ghost people. That's real.
Yeah.
I one of my guides is a panther, and I can't remember ever not seeing and feeling the panther. I can't remember ever not seeing she, which is my name for one of my other guides. They were always there, always. But the panther was important because it kept my feet warm. It had that kind of weight. But at the same time, I could reach down and pet it and feel it even though it was in spirit form. So because it was invisible to other people, it would look like I was just petting the air, touching the air, when in reality to me, I was petting a panther. I didn't know what it was. It was just a big black cat to me, but over years I realized what it was. So those invisible ones are not invisible to the one who's participating.
Yeah. And they weren't. And that's exactly right. Like when I look back, I can see how one of my guides was always there. I can see how one of my spirit animals was always there.
Yeah.
I can look back
and still are.
That was them.
Yep. Your last question, your number 8, which I think is a very appropriate number considering this is the 8 gateway. What was your gateway drug into the metaphysical world?
Oh, what was my gateway drug? It was, I guess it would be, meeting you and taking a tarot class.
I'm a drug? Oh my goodness.
I guess so. You were my gateway drug. Like it was, I got sober and my gifts obviously started, bursting out here, there, and everywhere. And learning tarot was my kind of gateway drug into the metaphysical world, into like tarot was my first lexicon. I had to being able to understand what the non-ordinary reality was trying to tell me about the physical world.
Say that again. Say that again. Louder so people can hear.
Oh. Tarot was the first lexicon that I learned that was able to accurately communicate what I was seeing, feeling, and sensing in the non-ordinary reality to communicate what's happening in physical reality.
That is an important statement, public. That is a very, very, very important self-observation. That's very hard for a lot of people growing into the metaphysical world to say. They don't realize how the tool can be such an important part. Whatever the tool is, astrology, numerology, tarot, doesn't matter. Everybody is drawn to something. Even I had a lady tell me the other day, I'm not drawn to anything. I just look at people and boom, 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 boom. Okay, that's her ability. And she says, my husband's tired of it. He wants to know what it's all about. He wants to know what it's all about.
And they both take a class.
It's normal for her, but this is a couple that are empty nesters now. 3 kids in college, 1 year apart, each one of them. So now they have time. They have time to look at themselves. He's looked at his wife, have all these experiences, all these worlds. It's normal to her, but he said, I almost committed her when we had children. Well, children are going to bring this stuff out even more in parents. So he said, but I was patient and I waited, but I still want to know what this is all about, with a few expletives in there. And I said, well, call me Sunday evening and we'll have a Zoom conversation with the 3 of you. So that's what we're going to do. But at least they're asking, and he's acknowledging. And he's accepting. So what you just said is so important for us humans to acknowledge about ourselves. We change. We get curious. Whether it's acknowledging our musical talents, and we've never been brave enough to take the piano lessons for real. We dabbled a little bit here and a little bit there, but now we're going to get serious. And before you know it, you're playing Chopin.
Yeah.
Beautifully, easily. But in your head, you've been doing it all those years, even without the piano. It's the same thing with metaphysical work. We do it, whether we realize we do it or not.
Yeah.
And what you just said can be critical for someone. Thank you for putting it that way. Teacher that you are. So looking into the fall, your show's going to be released. We know that. But what about teaching, mentoring?
Usually I have a solid round of classes going on, whether it's intuitive development, mediumship development. And if you're not able to take an intuitive class for whatever reason, I do have one-to-one mentoring sessions as well. So we can always work those out a la carte.
And of course, all of your contact information will be on the page where people can find you. So if there's something new to be added to that, be sure and get that to me. We talked in our earlier conversation, we talked about books and all that too. So you'll be sending those to me as you have time to do. And that'll be under your library that people can see what books were important to you as you grew. And you wrote a book. So what's the name of your book?
The name of my book is 7 Tips and Tricks to Enhance Your Intuition. Yes, a guide to loving, knowing, and trusting your intuition.
And they can find that on Amazon, correct?
Find that on Amazon, and they can find a dedication written directly to this woman, Elaine Ireland.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And
you're writing
a story of how we met.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that was fun. When's your next book coming out?
I don't know. Girl, I gotta get this show out, and I gotta get season 2 rolling first.
You will. Have you thought of any other questions that need to be asked of you? I snuck a couple in.
I don't know. I'm a pretty happy cat lady over here, Elaine. So I don't know.
You have 3 sweeties, 2 males and a female.
I do. I'm a happy catless or childless cat woman. I'm very happy.
That man is never going to live that down.
Jesus
never, ever,
Christ. Ever. Well,
never going to live that down.
He ever gets off the couch.
Well, we're going to wrap this.
See the downfall of I love to see karma coming back around to people. It's fun. Anyway, I would really say for anybody who's still just kind of curious about things, easiest thing to do if you're not ready, follow a bunch of people on social media and follow them and maybe read some free blogs and ask some questions, take some classes. You're never going to learn in a vacuum by yourself. Your ego is never going to give you the answers that somebody else has for you to learn and grow with. So follow them, reach out if you connect with them on classes, and take it from there.
I'm so glad that we have the what do you call them? Sites. The media, the different kinds of media that we have these days. But nothing really replaces a face-to-face or a class, if you can possibly find one in your area that's convenient to get to. There's something very special about it. But joining classes on Zoom or on phone or whatever is important too, because there's a bonding that goes on in a group. And especially if the group have different levels, the people have different levels of knowledge and maybe different age groups. So the elders in the class bring their life's experience along with the growth patterns, and the young people have a different way of looking at things for the elders to look at. And however you do it, be open to everyone's view that's in the class and learn from them and teach them. Don't be afraid of it. But if you can go to something, even if it's just a short lecture, Tracy used to do some mediumship work years and years ago where people would come in and she'd give them messages in a group form. Do those. Yeah.
Yep.
You'll have to start doing that again.
Huh?
You'll have to start doing that again someday.
When the right place comes up and all of that, I would love to do my monthly in-person mediumship demos again, and just finding that right space for it.
It's kind of, yeah. You will. If the time's right, if and when, it'll show up.
If and when it'll show up easily. And I loved to do those mediumship demos and education and all that. It just takes a minute.
Yep. I used to take my classes. to see her do that.
It's fun.
It's fun. What else would you like to leave the public before we say our goodbyes?
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing to wherever you're listening to this at.
Thank you so much. You take care of yourself. Thank you for sharing these. She gave me 8, but I think we probably answered about 12 or 13. So thank you for joining us again. I'm going to say have a great weekend. Try to share some smiles this weekend with folks, people. And mwah, to Tracy. Thank you. Bye, hon.
Thank you for tuning into the Conversations with the Ancients, where we take you on a journey where you'll hear voices of metaphysicians from the past, as well as today's spirit mediums, healers, and others who show you a side of the paranormal you've never seen before. Remember to visit our website at conversationswiththeancients.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Conversations with the Ancients.